Well, my understanding is that Andrew says 60 by the end of next year. That is possible. When you look at some of the supply-demand fundamentals, by the end of next year, they're starting to look fairly favorable for a higher market. But I would imagine that you would probably hit a price in the 20s before you would certainly get there. You know, the first quarter is looking like the first quarter, really, and the second quarter are looking to be pretty ugly. You've still got tremendous inventories. First quarter demand tends to be lower than the fourth quarter demand. And you've got the specter of Iranian supplies coming back one of these days. The calendar on that seems to be pretty vague. In preparation for this, I looked around for the definitive word on when Iran might be able to start selling oil, but not sure when that is. But when it does, you know, they're talking about 500,000 barrels a day. Even if their production can't justify that, their floating storage is going to put, you know, about 40 million barrels a day on the market quickly.
Wow. Okay. So, Andrew, it's a supply issue then. More than anything else right now.
I mean, I think a lot of people are worried about the shale oil coming back online as well. But I mean, I think a lot of these shale companies, you know, they've taken a lot of debt. Some of them are going to go bust just because the oil prices come down so significantly. And I think realistically, you're not going to get the banks lending them more money to go back into the shale oil until we get, you know, a significant price change.
John, come on, weigh in.
Yeah, I think, look. You're looking at the shale. I want to make a point that my colleagues at Standard & Poor's Rating Service have put together a report in which they talked about hedging. And a lot of companies that are really with poor credit ratings were heavily hedged. A good chunk of their production was hedged in 2015. The percentage of companies with those hedges in 2016 is significantly lower. And what certainly would be the case is that the hedges would be at a lower price. So the hedges in 2015 have been a lifeline for a lot of companies that have allowed them to keep going. Those lifelines are going to be either gone or significantly shorter in 2016. So it does go to Andrew's point that they're going to be in a lot worse shape next year than this year.
Okay. What about the, I mean, there is the question, right? I mean, the whole thing, when oil was at, you know, I don't remember, at 90, 100 or whatever, all of a sudden it gave birth to that cottage industry. And, you know, people in Kansas, people in Oklahoma, you know, all of a sudden realize, hey, we got some deposits down there under the ground. All we have to do is install a little faucet thing. We've got some, we can frack it, and we've got some shale coming up. It gave birth to a whole new generation of, you know, single proprietor type, you know, oil men. But, you know, how leveraged are they? How, you know, they're unviable at these oil price levels. John, what Andrew worries about, I mean, are they shut down for good? Have they gone, you know, have they essentially gone bankrupt? Is that an issue, or can they bounce right back, you know, if the price is right?
Well, I think Andrew's right in the fact that they are heavily leveraged, and a lot of them are going to go out of business. So what's going to happen is that they're going to get bought for pennies on the dollar by companies with a lot deeper pockets, and as a result, they're going to have significantly lower operating costs or significantly lower financial structure that has to be justified by the prices. So, you know, I've always tended to make the analogy to the railroads from like 100+ years ago. You know, at the end of the 1800s, the U.S. had massive amount of railroad overcapacity. They all went bust. The bondholders took a bath. The stockholders took a bath, but, you know, the line stayed there. And, you know, you're right about the fact that a lot of the shale boom has been created by small independent companies working on farmland under the U.S.'s the fact that the landowner owns the property rights. But, you know, at the end of this, we've still had a significant major technological breakthrough, which hasn't even migrated to other countries. Eventually it will. It's not going to do it as easily. It's not going to be right around the corner. But, you know, the shale industry really is a function of its own success, and that's not disappearing over the long term. That's why, you know, companies are talking about a significantly, you know, changed landscape for a long time to come. And, you know, you'd have to be sort of a crazy bull out there to find anybody talking about $100 again.